much. I was sharing with Senator Bozeman that we have a brown trout festival in Michigan up around Alpena, and one year they had to cancel because there were no brown trout because the cormorants had attacked and killed all the trout. And so we've had ongoing, and there have been some strategies that have actually worked related to this, but it's been an ongoing issue. So I appreciate the discussion.
We welcome the conversation. Good relationship with the Fish and Wildlife Service. Happy to engage there as well, and obviously APHIS as well.
Thank you. Well, Senator Thune just came back in. I was about to call Senator Ernst, but Senator Thune, you bumped her.
I'm so sorry.
Okay, so.
And Deb thought she was next.
No, Senator Thune on our list is next, then Senator Fisher, then Senator Ernst. And so, Senator Ernst, you should have tripped him on the way in, and I would have been able to get to you. So, Senator Thune.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and Ranking Member Bozeman for holding today's hearing on these very important titles in the Farm Bill. And I also want to thank our USDA witnesses for appearing before the committee. It's nice to have fellow South Dakotans here, Administrator Bunger and Administrator Ducheneau, with us today. It's critically important that the next Farm Bill provide a strong safety net and risk management tools that allow farmers and ranchers to continue working to feed and fuel our nation and the world. Crop insurance and commodity programs must be maintained and, where possible, improved in the next Farm Bill to help producers face challenges from high inflation and input costs to adverse weather events. And before I turn to my questions, I want to raise concerns with USDA's Emergency Relief Program, ERP Phase 2. I appreciate USDA's efforts through Phase 1, ERP, which generally worked well in supporting producers with crop losses in 20 and 21, but the Phase 2 methodology of comparing Schedule F or taxable income from benchmark periods and disaster years often does not accurately, I should say, reflect crop losses that Congress meant to cover. So I want to urge USDA to consider its ERP Phase 2 methodology and to use the Phase 1 approach going forward for 2022 crop losses. Undersecretary Bonnie, as you know, agriculture risk coverage and price loss coverage are important safety net tools for producers. I secured a provision in the 2023 Farm Bill that allows producers to annually elect and enroll in ARC or PLC starting in 21 and again in 22 and 23. And I appreciate USD's efforts to coordinate this FSA deadline with RMA's March 15th deadline to apply for crop insurance for crops. As we work to build off successes of the 2018 Farm Bill, like the annual election, what else can be done to maximize producers' options and access to decision-making tools, and what ideas do you have to better streamline administration of programs across the agencies that you oversee?
So let me, on the ARC PLC front, let me turn to Administrator Ducheneau. I just say more broadly, there was a conversation while you were out of the room about ad hoc and the ad hoc disaster and crop insurance, and we are committed to crop insurance. We know how important it is in your neck of the woods, but it's important across the country. And we think, creating incentives for producers to take advantage of crop insurance. Same thing on the NAP side. The more we can do to get them into those regular safety net programs, we think that's critically important. And so we want to continue to encourage that. Let me turn to Zach on the ARC PLC front.
Thank you, Senator. It's good to see you. Good to be around South Dakotans as well. With regard to ARC PLC and the annual election, we hear that producers like that. One of the challenges that we hear producers express all across the country as we get a chance to go out and visit in the countryside is reference prices, as Senator Bozeman mentioned, need to be adjusted in order to make that a better tool for them. And we welcome conversations with our colleagues on the Hill about how do we make thoughtful decisions about that, to the point Senator Bozeman made as well about a better allocation of the funding that's going to ad hoc programs as well. Another conversation that comes up as we dive into our communities that maybe are more underserved and haven't had the benefit of these programs for decades and generations is the allocation of base acres. And the fact that in many of these communities where they're trying every bit as hard to farm, base acres don't exist. We don't have a base acre concept in grazing land, for instance, in western South Dakota. So those are some things that we've heard from our producers And we welcome conversations with you all about how can we make adjustments to make it fit better.
Okay, thank you. Let me just, and this could direct this to all of you, but Senator Lujan and I are working to introduce our proposal to improve the effectiveness and timeliness of disaster programs for livestock producers. USDA's technical assistance is vital as we work to refine and improve programs in the next Farm Bill. Will you make it a priority for USDA to provide technical assistance in a timely manner?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Our proposal also seeks to improve the accuracy of the drought monitor, which triggers certain disaster programs. And I'd ask, I guess, any of you what ideas you have to strengthen disaster programs and the drought monitor in the next Farm Bill. If you could comment on that, would be great. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely willing to work with you on that. And I want to return to the disaster question here. We're increasingly facing pretty intense disasters, whether it's a hurricane in Florida, Puerto Rico, wildfire in New Mexico that I know Senator Lujan's been engaged with. And we're essentially having to build jump teams within FSA to be able to surge staff to those areas. Same thing on the NRCS side because there's some emergency authorities there. And so we're building essentially the ability to almost put together incident management teams to be able to deal with those disasters. And I want to bring it to your attention because it's increasingly taking resources of USDA, and it's an important issue. We do a good job, for example, in wildfire on disaster response, but we're going to need to standardize how we do disaster recovery as well. And we're spending more time on it, and it's increasingly a critical issue, and I think one that I want to make sure you all are thinking about as well.
Thank you. My time's expired, Madam Chair. I've got some additional questions, and I'll submit them for the record. Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much. Senator Fisher.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As many have already said today, it should be a top priority